smart things can turn into bad decisions.
Number lucky 7, the Broncos. I paid the price last week. Welcome to the only honest power rankings on earth. I am master of curses, Brandon Perna. Last week, this stupid curse wheel cursed my Broncos, and they, of course, lost in horrific fashion. Its only blemish this season, the curse wheel, is the Chiefs. So today, I will power rank the top NFL teams and then curse one of them with deadly efficiency. Now, don't forget, guys, we're doing a charity fundraiser tomorrow night for Solving Kids Cancer right here on That's Good Sports. I'm live streaming during the Broncos-Saints game, so come help an amazing charity. All the super chats in that stream going directly to Solving Kids Cancer during the game. Let's start, though, with heaven, where Aiden Hutchinson has been placed this week. No guy deserves the healing light of heaven more than Aiden Hutchinson after suffering that broken leg. The last time I felt this bad about a player injury was, well, last season when Nick Chubb went down. So I think it's a heavenly sign that Nick Chubb is making his return to the NFL this very week. Aiden, my friend, get strong. Live strong, just like Lance Armstrong. Also, take all of the PEDs like Lance if it helps you heal more quickly. In purgatory, Robert Saleh having to deal with this shit now from TMZ.
Hey, Coach. How you doing? How you feeling after everything this week? Well, we saw Coach Belichick and the Mannings kind of give some support for you yesterday. How did that feel? Do you feel like your Lebanese flag had anything to do with what happened?
And in hell, Trevor Lawrence. I truly believe Trevor Lawrence has his flaws in his passing game as a quarterback. He's not perfect. Most quarterbacks aren't, unless their name is Peyton Manning or Ryan Fitzpatrick. But since entering the NFL in 2021, Lawrence has watched his wide receivers drop 113 passes. That's 21 more than the Chiefs have dropped in second place. I'm also in hell because even with all those drops, the Chiefs keep winning fucking Super Bowls. The Jags also have the second best rushing attack on a yards per play basis. So these drops are really, really killing the Jags. All right, these power rankings are going to be very fun because the Vikings and Chiefs were on a bye this week, which means they can't be on the power rankings today. The Dolphins and Rams were also on a bye, but they weren't going to be on the list, right, guys? Let's start at number 12. I'm putting the Bengals or Eagles here, okay? I think the Bengals are a little better than their record, and I think the Eagles are a little worse than their record. I have no clue how good either of these teams actually are, and that's literally all I wanted to say about them. Number 11, the Steelers. Here's Mike Tomlin talking about the possible quarterback change this week.
Justin has been really good, and we've been really good at times, but not to be confused with great. Man, this is a competitive league, man. We're trying to position ourselves to be that team.
Not to be confused with great. That's one of the best answers I've heard, and he's right. Fields has not been great. But Mike, I hate to break it to you, Russell Wilson can no longer give you great. Whatever strength he has over Fields, which might be a more accurate deep ball and possibly a better red zone quarterback, you will suffer deficiencies in other areas.
So idiot things can turn into good decisions.
Number 10, the Buccaneers. The Bucs are the first team with 300-plus passing and 275-plus rushing yards in a road game since 1962. That was a great victory over the Saints, but I don't think any team has a tougher schedule over the next month than the Bucs. They get the Ravens, the Falcons, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. We're about to find out who the Bucs really are. Chris Godwin is a huge reason the Bucs passing game is thriving right now. His 5 touchdowns this season are tied for the most with his teammate Mike Evans, the ageless wonder, and George Kittle, and Jamar Chase, and yes, Allen Lazard. But he and Jamar Chase are the only 2 receivers from that group who are also top 5 in receiving yards this season. Number 9, the Falcons. The Falcons have now won 3 straight games after starting the year 1-2. Whatever was ailing Big Kirko is clearly no longer bothering him, and Atlanta sits atop the NFC South. Kirk is definitely dealing, but I'm most impressed by their 2-headed monster in the backfield. Bijan Robinson leads the team in total yards, but Tyler Algier has been their most efficient running back, averaging 5.5 yards per carry. Their offense is firing on all cylinders, but they still they still have one thing that continues to concern me. No one on the Falcons has more than a sack and a half. Just 5 team sacks in 6 games. That's worrisome. I talk about it every single week here, and it has not improved. If it made sense for anyone to make a play for an edge rusher before the trade deadline, it is these Falcons, because right now that's their Achilles heel. Even more so than Kirk Cousins' actual Achilles heel. 0 sacks against the Panthers and Andy Dalton, that might be their Achilles coronary. Number 8, the Bills. It has not been pretty for Buffalo, but they've avoided dropping 3 straight by winning an ugly-ass Monday Nighter against the Jets on the road, and there's something to be said for pulling out a game where the opposing quarterback nails a Hail Mary before halftime. The Bills' leading receiver through 6 games has been Khalil Shakir with 250 yards, but help, of course, is on the way via Amari Cooper, who I think can space things out for the rest of the offense. It took all the restraint I had in my soul to not move the Bills up to 1 or 2 after landing Amari Cooper. Cooper has been creating 2.7 yards of separation on average this season, his personal best since 2018. If that's real, you will see his stats skyrocket, which are at an all-time low. He should help everything that is ailing the Bills' air attack, including air yards. This might be the savviest in-season acquisition ever. Brandon Beane may have just told Howie Roseman to hold his beer, and it's gonna work. Also, Josh Allen is the leader in the new NGS passing score. I like it because it confirms Josh Allen is better than Patrick Mahomes, and I like when my bias is confirmed, but I hate it because I feel like we're just making shit up now. New metrics, please shut the fuck up. Unless, of course, you confirm my bias, then give me more of these. Boom! Today's episode is sponsored by Underdog, who already made a $10,000 donation to Solving Kids Cancer for our charity fundraiser tomorrow night. A huge reason I continue to work with Underdog is because they are supporting me beyond a creator brand sponsorship. Here's what I'm going to do to try and match Underdog's generosity. I'm going to link a bunch of private fantasy drafts on Underdog in the description. For every draft we fill up, I will donate $100 to the charity. We will kick the stream off with that donation tomorrow night. So if you've signed up with Underdog with my code, you can play in those drafts. You get to keep your money. They're private drafts that I'm hosting. The only way you can access them is with the links below. Let's fill up a bunch and do some good this week. Number 7, the Bears. The Bears have not played the most daunting of schedules, I know, but there's something to be said about that. About absolutely obliterating bad teams, which the Bears did against Carolina and Jacksonville in back-to-back weeks. Yes, I know, their 4 wins are all against 1-win teams, but they went toe-to-toe with the Texans in week 2. Caleb Williams has improved every week against bad teams. Their defense is good. The Bears are 3rd in point differential after 6 weeks, trailing only 2 other NFC North teams, the Vikings and Packers. My concern is still their run game. It's gotten better, don't get me wrong, but they're tied for 2nd worst in the league, averaging 3.7 yards per rush. That's actually up from 3.5 yards per rush a week ago. The Chiefs are tied for 3rd worst in that category. So this is not a prison sentence, Chicago. If the Chiefs players can avoid prison sentences, so can you. Number 6, the 49ers. It seems like the 49ers have had a bad stretch in them every season, and maybe they got it out of the way when they started 2-3 to start the year, because they looked every bit like the dominating team we know against the Seahawks last Thursday night. Brock Purdy, still a master of efficiency, averaging 8.8 yards per throw, and while Jordan Mason isn't going to put Christian McCaffrey out of a job, he's good for 5.3 yards per pop. Why? Because that's what the Shanahan's run scheme does. If there's anyone that's going to hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season, it might as well be these 49ers. They've got their shot at revenge at home in Santa Clara. God knows they won't do it in the Super Bowl. So do it this week, San Fran. Number 5, the Commanders. Now, Jaden Daniels gets a ton of credit, and deservedly so, but we've been overlooking their running backs. Brian Robinson picking up 4.5 yards per carry. Then the supposedly washed Austin Eckler has over 6 yards per carry with nearly 200 yards receiving. And the most under-the-radar story of the year in my opinion, is Jeremy McNichols, the 29-year-old running back who had 2 career touchdowns in the first 7 years of his career, has found the end zone 3 times for the Commies while averaging nearly 7 yards per carry. Now, Brian Robinson is back at practice this week, and I think Washington could have won had he been on the field, but I love their trio of backs. Number 4, the Texans. The Texans might be the most overlooked team in the NFL. None of their wins have been awe-inspiring, but they are 5-1 with their only loss coming at the hands of the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. This is a team that's deep at wide receiver, and I feel confident that they can keep winning games until Nico Collins is back in the lineup. Nico Collins still leads the league in receiving yards despite not playing last week and leaving the Bills game early 2 weeks ago. Tank Dell is 100% back and making an impact, getting into the end zone for the first time since his season-ending injury midway through his rookie season last year. Their next game, however, will be a serious test against my number 3 team. That's right, the Packers. How does Jordan Love make a throw like this every single game? I'm not sure, but it's working. Love is tied for second in the NFL with 12 touchdowns. And, oh, by the way, Jordan Love missed a couple games this year. Now, the Packers' major weakness? Their kicker, Braden Narvison, who missed 5 of his 17 field goals. So they made the move to pick up Brandon McManus. How was this guy available this late into the season? Oh, never mind. Oh, speaking of kicker news, I nearly forgot. The Bills are working out the thicker kicker. This guy. Number 2, the Ravens. Lamar Jackson now has the second most rushing yards for a quarterback all time. Not bad for a quarterback. The Ravens are simply a fun team to watch right now. Their defense is allowing almost 25 points per game, which is 24th in the league. But I think context matters because the quarterbacks they have faced so far include Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Jaden Daniels. They won 4 of those 5 games, but somehow dropped a game at home to Gardner Minshew?
Just an electric fella all around.
More proof that the first 2 games of the year are just an extension of the preseason. Or that Gardner Minshew is actually the league's real MVP. But we'll never know because the Raiders are in the process of ruining his career. If Minshew can beat the Ravens with Davante Adams, what can Rodgers really do with him? And number 1, that's right, the Lions. Rah, rah, hear us roar. You know you're onto something when you've got the team you just beat players in your DMs calling you a bitch.
Jordan Lewis, I think, is his name, from the Cowboys.
Yeah. Cowboys corner Jordan Lewis replied to one of Amon-Ra St. Brown's Instagram stories with, "You a bitch."
But he was talking crazy, like some shit I've never heard before. I'm like, yo, hold on. Like,
at least we could say Lewis lived up to his reputation.
I'm gonna have to go hard on this. Like, he was talking crazy out of pocket.
Now, some of you were mad that the Lions didn't get the revenge dagger this week in winners and losers for beating the Cowboys. It was an oversight on me. My bad. Detroit's defense is why I'm excited, though. Obviously, the Hutchinson injury leaves a giant void to be filled. But the Lions had 5 takeaways against the Cowboys. Opposing quarterbacks have a passer rating of 41.6 once they get past the 30-yard line against Detroit. The Lions are top 10 in red zone efficiency on defense. Opposing offenses score touchdowns less than half the time when entering the red zone. These are all improvements from last year. And they just extended defensive tackle Aleem McNeil, who had his best career day against Dallas. If he keeps generating pressure from the tackle position, they can get edge production via Josh Paschal, Mekhi Wingo if they move him outside from time to time, and maybe James Houston in a specialist role. It will have to be by committee, and I think if one team can figure it out, it is these Detroit Lions. Let's spin the stupid wheel and see who it curses. Here we go. Benchwarmershop.com if you like the cursed shirts. What you got for us, Will? You tricky bastard. I do believe in you. I do pray to you. Ooh, 6. It's back on 6. Oh, the 49ers? I just said you were going to beat the Chiefs. This hurts me as much as it hurts you. Oh, the sad part is I almost moved the 49ers. I was reading through power rankings today, and I was like, I put them too high. I think I got them too high. I'm betting on their potential. Oh, please subscribe here on YouTube. That's Good Sports. Don't forget tomorrow night, Broncos Saints charity fundraiser. Let's